Welcome to a roundup of all things Sunderland AFC in the last 7 days. I know it's a day late, but what a 7 days it has been, eh? In any case, let's go back to the start of last week where things were much more peaceful, and Peter Reid was being interviewed on Cammy and Ben's proper podcast.
I'm thinking, wow, what an area this is. I love it. By the way, I love Newcastle as well. I love Middlesbrough. I just think the North East and the rivalry is brutal.
Yeah.
But it's great. And they're really top people. And it got to me, which is good. I'm nearly crying here.
Yeah.
And that's the way it should be.
Yeah.
Because football's emotional. Football's about people.
He recalls signing Kevin Phillips and how Maradona wanted to swap shirts with him after that game. And if you go and listen to the podcast, which is well worth it, you'll hear what happened and why.
I was manager of Sunderland. We played Watford. I think we drew ones apiece, and it was a night game. And, we have a bevy afterwards. Glenn Road was manager. Mm-hmm. So I've gone to Glenn. I like your little... And he went, I'm not sure. And my great pal was his assistant, Kenny Sanson.
Yeah.
So I've gone to Ken. What about your little fella there? He went, what a player. As soon as he said that, I thought, I'm having a go with him.
On Monday, we learned that Costa Rican international Jewison Bennette was supposed to be signing for us, and that we had an interest in bringing in Brighton defender Paul van Hecke to us on loan. The ticket office was announced to be open all week. With all the problems they've had, it's about time too. They're understaffed and the club seem loath to pay for things like players and managers, maybe. Anyway, Tuesday we discovered that Lee Johnson has made an app with his neighbour and that this is something revolutionary. He talks about collecting the strategies of Klopp and Guardiola when he managed against them. I must have missed that. And he's putting them all together in an evolving collection of his strategy ideas. Dear Lord, we're well rid of this fella. His neighbour basically seems to have sold him a Google Drive, and he's banging on about it. Not satisfied with that, earlier in the season, Lee Johnson had brought in a sniper from the US Marines to talk to his club team about resilience. I just don't get it. Anyway, we also found out that Jewison Bennette was getting on a plane today to come and sign for us, for sure. Wednesday, Edouard Michou, PSG and French international youth wonderkid, possibly signing for us. Where did this come from? Fabrizio Romano, the European journalist who knows all things football in Europe, broke the story here.
What happens for Ismail Assar? Michou. There is a proposal from Sunderland. They want to sign the player on permanent deal and to bring him to Championship from Paris Saint-Germain. So for Michou, is a possibility to leave Paris Saint-Germain.
Pablo Torre.
And we got news that Bennett was at last on his way to Sunderland. Apologies, the last clip was apparently Tony Bennett, not Jewison. But we got it right this time. Here he is. On Thursday, Jewison Bennette finally arrived at Sunderland on a 4-year deal. We will likely not see too much of him as he settles in until the World Cup, where he will play for Costa Rica in a group with Spain, Germany and Japan. Perhaps they're hoping for a fast turnaround in price profit here. Who knows? In any case, Friday, chaos descended upon Sunderland AFC once again. The same day the Netflix cameras turned up to curse us, Alex Neil decided he'd had enough and left for Stoke City, in a move that puzzled everybody. Upon reflection, there were signs that were there that the club just didn't fit with him. It was down to the club's policy and the wages that he was getting from Stoke City, not something that we could match or even were prepared to do so. Neil's previous promotion sides at Hamilton Academicals and Norwich City were built on experience, and he made no secret about the fact that he wanted to sign more experienced players, and this was just not the club's approach. Mix that frustration with his personal ambition, and you start to understand why he chose to leave. We might be signing wonderkids from Paris Saint-Germain, but when asked in a radio phone-in about transfers on the eve of the season, he was quite obviously frustrated. Asked about signing players the likes of Dwight Gale, who was available, and if that sort of player would be at Sunderland, he replied that Sunderland would be nowhere near that kind of deal, because the club has a different policy, and that clearly didn't match with what he believed is needed to get promoted. Gale's wages simply don't fit into the club. This kind of talk is a worry about renewing Ross Stewart's contract. In truth, I now expect to lose Ross Stewart next season. We'll trigger his 1-year extension and then sell him, and I don't think there'll be a contract extension this season. Ross Stewart knows how much he's worth, and I don't think the club will pay for him. In fact, the whole of that scenario unfolding in the next 12 months is exactly what the club is about. Buying a player at a short price and selling him for an enormous profit when he improves. And Stewart is going to be the first player that fits that programme. And I don't like the idea of having to suck that up in the next 12 months. As for Alex Neil, well, it's largely a move for money. But he's also personally ambitious. He's 41 years old. Neil wants to get to the top, and that means promotion soon. The long-term project at Sunderland AFC did not interest him or meet his own goals. And I don't doubt that 12-month rolling contract was as much to do with him as it was with the club. Fate has decided to vomit on us again. We move on. Saturday, the Norwich game was actually pretty good. But once again, players were left out there too long. We have 5 subs were allowed this season, and by the 86th minute, we'd made only one of them. I'll review this game later in the week when we play, but it was a good performance, and I think everyone was really rather pleased. Neil had done a good job preparing for the team, and that's the last we'll see of his influence. Views on the Lasses and the Young'uns. The Lasses opened their Barclays Championship season with a draw away to Durham and then lost 4-0 to Birmingham at home at the Stadium Light on Saturday. It's been a poor start from them, leaving them 1 point above the relegation zone in what looks like it might be a very tough season for them. And as for the Young'uns, well, the under-21s won at bottom of the table Derby County to record their first win of the season, moving us up to 6th in the Premier League Second Division table. But a hat-trick in the rout of Derby County by Max Thompson saw us crush them. A new signing in the summer. This bodes well for us. And as for the under-18s, they recorded their second win of the season to give us a maximum points and second place in the Premier League North table behind Stoke, only on goals scored. Behind Stoke again. Well, that's it for this week. I'll be back next week when we'll find out if we have a manager named after a park and will Edouard Michu ever move to Sunderland.